Hi guys. It's a Saturday evening as I record this. It's probably not going to get published till Monday or Tuesday. A lot of stuff has happened the last few days, and I keep having to crank out videos. But I really want to try to space them out, just in case I have to take a break, because of work or whatever. I don't want you guys to all think I've abandoned you. Give you something to watch. So this Saturday evening, I'm going to record this. I'm watching the day 2 of a one pocket match between Chip and Shane. Day 1, I think, kind of surprised a lot of people. I don't know if I want to say that it surprised me all that much. I think the difference in the score did surprise me a little bit. Well, that's fine. So, anybody that's watching any of my other videos knows that yesterday I got my Tascarella butt back. I've been playing with the Tascarella shaft on my Sean R12, and yeah, it was okay. It hit okay and all that. When I put this shaft back on this butt, it's got the compression fit thing, which I talked about before, where it just goes on like normal. Maybe even approach the camera a little bit. It just screws on, but once it gets down here to where this protruding part is, it starts to get tight. And somebody called that a compression fit. And I like that term, that's probably a valid term. But anyway, I made a video about wow cues. I want a wow cue that's got a wow hit. Where I hit the ball and I go, wow, this hits good. This is now a wow cue. This shaft on my R12 was not. This whole setup, when it had that old tip, the whatever in the hell tip that was, the soft tip, was not a wow hitting cue. Now it's got a triangle on it. And this is wow. So, yay, this is what I wanted. No more excuses, right, Dave? I can always come up with more excuses. Don't worry about that. So I'm kind of doing now what I've been doing here for a little while. Is I'm just trying to get used to the cue and trying to get used to playing 8-ball all at the same time. What is most important to me right now is getting used to the cue. But for the most part, I'm playing 8-ball. I'm playing some bank pool too. Banks are good practice because banks kind of require a nice authoritative stroke, usually a kind of a firm stroke, good fundamentals and all that. I mean, all pool requires a lot of that kind of stuff. At least for me, banks have forced it a little bit more. You can't just dick around and have balls just magically go in. I want to overhit that ball just a little bit with a cue that hits better than I am used to. It would not surprise me if I come up too far and had to shoot the 4 decks. I wasn't playing shape to the 4, I was playing shape to the 3 inside. I guess I'm happy that happened. Because now I probably get to run these balls out. I'm always watching, trying to be aware of what the difference is with this equipment. So any surprises that happen to me that I can't attribute to my mental or physical something happening, it could be the fact that I'm just not used to the equipment. And that's all I'm trying to do at this point. I made a video. See, I would like to come back a little bit more, but I didn't. I think that was a physical flaw on my part. I don't think that was the cue. I made a video the other day about what if I don't have a practice table or time to practice, and I'm just like thrown into a tournament. Then I would become like the world's most boring player. and just start trying to just cinch every ball. Not take any chances, especially with spin and stuff, because I don't know what spin and stuff will do with a new piece of equipment. I'm not doing that here. I'm just down in my basement, just playing and trying to see what the differences are, if there are any. And I know there will be differences. I haven't played with a wow hitting cue as my main cue since 2021. That was my PCHAR. I started using my Scruggs back then in spring of 2021 as my main cue. It's good. It's really good, but not a wow hitting cue like this one here is for me right now. So these are the things I have to get used to. I've talked about how I want street cred, I want looks, I want a good hit. But there's this fourth category that I have since added, which is how well do I play with it? And a good hit does not automatically mean that I'm going to play well with it. It means that's something I have to get used to. And that's all I'm doing. Nothing any more complicated than that. Just seeing what happens. I drew right into the side. I should have drawn right into the side on that shot. Didn't want to, but when I first hit it, I got way more draw on it than I was expecting. I thought it would come up at about this angle. Instead, this angle. So, I'm not crying over anything, but that's something that I now know, and in theory my inner pool player now knows, if I get the same kind of shot again, maybe don't draw quite as much, because you're flirting with the side pocket. No mystery for any of this kind of stuff to me, and I kind of want to screw up on some shots, because if I do, I know I've mentioned it a bunch of times, that's how I learn. I think that's how most people learn, is from mistakes. I didn't learn a single thing by making that 13 and coming out for the 14. I didn't learn a single thing. But what if I missed that 13? What if I misjudged my English and came back and hit the 14 dead in the face and got hooked on it? Or what if the cue ball had come over here against the rail? Those mistakes are things that I could have learned from. And so if I make mistakes, I think I do a pretty good job of looking at those and go, hey, that was a learning opportunity, and I'm going to take advantage of it. That's the plan. I think that's always the plan. Even if I'm playing against somebody, I try to keep that in mind. Try to keep it all as a learning opportunity. And when something happens that I should have learned a lesson, I try to make sure I learn that lesson. A lot of times this is easier said than done, but it doesn't stop me from trying to not make the same mistake again, or not make the same mistake as often. These balls are just all spread out all over the world, aren't they? All over the world they're spread out. And most people would have tried to play shape for something a little bit easier than what I just did. Maybe I could blame the cue. Whenever I say blame the cue, I don't mean blame the cue. I mean blame myself for not being used to the cue. So anytime in the future that I ever say it's the cue's fault, especially if I'm holding like this cue, it's not the cue's fault. I'm not quite used to it yet. I'm not as used to it as I would like to be. That's all that means. For some reason I'm playing one pocket now. That was not the intention. See, by failing to get shape on this 12 earlier, the 12 is going to haunt me now. It's going to be a problem ball for me. 13 was going to be a great ball to just shoot a stop shot in this pocket, and then I've got the 8 here. But now I'm probably going to have to use the 13 to get on the 12. This is just 8-ball stuff that I'm also trying to figure out and relearn, along with the whole getting used to the cue stuff. So that was just absolutely perfect. See why I need to practice 8-ball? Now what, now what, now what, now what, Dave? You don't have to like it, but sometimes you just gotta shoot and hope you get lucky. And that's what you gotta do sometimes. Just shot it and got lucky. Except I'm tree-topped a little bit, which is not ideal. Oh, shit. Elevation is not my friend. Oops, we're going to shoot that again. Elevation is not my friend. Something happens to me in my, I guess my eye alignment, or maybe my stroke. When I get elevated, it's no longer going where I want. Usually, if I'm elevated, I cut balls to the left. In other words, the cue ball goes to the right more than I expected. But I have been working on it. I don't think all of a sudden on that shot I got it fixed. I think I got lucky on that shot. And the same optical illusion, if this cue ball was closer to the rail, even though I'm not elevated, I have the same kind of a thing that happens. I tend to cut balls to the left. If there's any kind of obstruction of my vision, partial obstruction, I tend to cut balls to my left. Usually I say, okay, my eyes are different. This eye is different than this eye. That's usually what happens. But I don't know for sure. I just know what happens. I don't necessarily know why it's happening. Like that. Now what? Now what? Now what? Well, now, in theory, I'm out, right? That's the theory, is that I'm out. It's always a good feeling to have, but you still have to be able to back it up. And I don't always back it up. That 13 is going to cause me problems. Thirteen is a horrible key ball to shoot before the 8. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to, play the hand that was dealt to you. So watch the elevation again. I'm gonna get stuck. I bet I got stuck. Bunch of hate pool. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Got too much angle on this ball. Had to shoot it too hard. Essentially tried to get lucky. Didn't work. I can just blame that on like general suckage, not on I wasn't used to the cue yet. So I'm gonna stop the video and just keep practicing. You know what you see me do here. This is what I just gonna keep doing. This is pretty much what I do. The only difference is right now I am playing a lot of 8-ball. My main thing is get used to this cue, which is pretty darn awesome for me so far. Bye guys.